flaring on them, flaring on them. We Rick flaring on them, flaring on them. Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on them, flaring on them. Yeah, we Rick flaring on them, flaring on them. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Rick flaring, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. When I open like Betty Watch and find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness is really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase. Yeah. Bubba C. Yeah. Rick flaring on them. Rick flaring on them. Rick flaring on them. Rick flaring, son up, man.
Hey, yo, Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at. No cap. If the Brody is speaking the soft facts. My advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he offered the least. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walking, cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Scotty, man, back with another one. And you already know it's showtime in the building. And I can't do it without my brother from another. Get up, my boy, Toe Phillips.
What's happening, man? What it do?
What is going on, my boy?
Oh, I gotta say out every day.
Absolute victory every day. I hope your team loses in the season so that like you can't even wear that joint.
We rebuke you in the name of Satan.
Hey, is that your brand?
Look, no, it's not. Everything you say.
Nothing you will ever do will
Mhm.
succeed. You know what I'm saying? I feel you. I still absolute victory. Yeah, okay. Not today. Not today. Let me what's been going on? How was your weekend?
Man, everything copacetic, man. Another day above ground. It's a lovely about 74 degrees here in good old Mississippi today.
Shit, not up here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
We supposed to get like this mixture of snow and ice Wednesday, man. I'm so sick of this weather, bro.
man, it's supposed to be in the low 80s this weekend.
Not up here, bro. It's cold. It's cold. It's ice cubes. It's cold. I ain't even gonna hold you. Listen, but if you want to get away from the cold, go take your ass down to Hampton, Georgia. The Tubman Museum is having a golf tournament. All right, Alabama State in partnership with Alabama State, man. Registration for foursomes, no diddy. $500, individuals $150 at the beautiful Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club in Hampton, Georgia. Register at www.tubmangolf.org. Again, if you're in the Georgia area, okay, if you're in Alabama, if you're in South Carolina, you want to get a good golf game going on, bring your homeboys down, make it a whole event. Go to the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament partnership with Alabama State men and women's golf. Again, registration for foursomes, no diddy. $500, individual $150. Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. That's my son's birthday, by the way. So
that's a beautiful golf course too, just south of Atlanta, just past the Atlanta Motor Speedway. For all the people who are actually going to be in Metro Atlanta, so just south of Atlanta, right, just past the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a beautiful golf course too.
You play a little, you play a little.
Yeah, I play a little golf, man.
You got clubs?
Huh?
You got clubs? If you ain't got no clubs, you don't play.
I don't got clubs.
So you
I don't have clubs.
Look,
I'm telling you, I play. Look, let me tell you. So, well, you know my situation that happened last year.
Yeah.
I just relocated. So my brother-in-law got like 4 or 5 different sets of clubs. So I always go get a pair of his when it's time to go play.
I own golf clubs. Okay, I have golf. I'm a left.
What's your handicap?
Some days between 18 and 20. The lowest my handicap has ever been was a 11 when I played it when I was in Japan. I played every day. Like when I was stationed in Japan, I don't
know if y'all noticed what he just did, but a handicap score is an average. You just took your average and gave it an average.
Yeah, I get that. What I'm saying is when I play a lot, it's in the when I play a lot, it's like 15. It can get to like 16, 17. But if I don't play a lot, it's like 20s. It's in the 20s. But when I was playing at my highest, when I was playing like every single day, my handicap was a 12. So yeah, but I don't play that often. So now I'm probably like,
I mean, here you can't if it's gonna be March and still snowing and ice and everything. So.
You got a short window in Ohio to get your golf game in, and everybody be at the golf course too. Like they know it. You like, hey, this is a finite season to go get your golf game on, and you better go get it in. So I'm not in the beautiful state of Georgia where it's pretty much like all year round, but again, Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club, Hampton, Georgia, the Tubman Golf Tournament. Definitely a beautiful thing. Shout out to the Tubman Museum. Shout out to Alabama State men's and women's golf for partnering with them. All right. And we've been bringing you that throughout the show. Now, let's get into a couple topics today, Zoe. You know, we got to start off with the hot topic. Luka, the AD. Now, I'm a Mavericks fan, okay? Whoa. Now, let me break it down to you. I was a Mavericks fan with Eric Dampier, Michael Finley. Like I was that. I've been a Mavericks. So don't know. Nobody better not come. I've been a Mavericks fan for a long time. I was there at the heartbreak to Dwayne Wade, and they came back and beat us. I was there. So it was retribution when we came back and beat them with LeBron and D Wade and all them. I'm a Mavs fan through. Listen, I love my Mavs, man. I love my Mavs. Now, overall, I know people are. I'm not mad at the trade. I'm not super mad. I'm a little upset because I do think Luka is a transcendent player, and I love, man, that Luka magic. Man, Luka magic was real. It was really real. But he did have his shortcomings. But this was my issue. This is my issue with the trade. It's Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's my issue with the trade because anytime Kyrie Irving's a leader of a team, it don't go well. It don't go well.
Mhm.
Cleveland, when he was with the Celtics, he ended up being a role. They end up kind of like they know all the young guys didn't really look up to him. You know what I'm saying? Boston, Brooklyn. He's not a leader in that sense of like, hey, let's get this team and let's rally and let's go win a championship. That to me is the part where I'm just like, I don't know if it was in the best interest, but I do think that AD becomes our Tyson Chandler. Now, I would have told you this though, and I'm gonna let you go. If we would have kept Brunson and we had Brunson with AD, woo, we're going to the chip. We going to the chip. But I'm not a big fan of Kyrie leading this team. I don't think it works as well. I do think we're contenders, but I don't think Kyrie takes us over the next level. What you guys on?
Well, as a lifelong Laker fan.
Oh God, Jesus Christ.
Oh, lifelong Laker fan. Let me tell you why. All my fandom and all my teams got Mississippi ties to it. So the Lakers, I'm a huge Magic Johnson fan. Magic Johnson's dad and his whole dad's entire family is from Crystal Springs, which is just a suburb of Jackson, just outside of Jackson. When I was 5 years old, man, I actually went to a basketball camp with Dr. J and Magic Johnson. I got an autographed photo of Dr. J. Still to this day, I got both of them. So I've been a Laker fan ever since.
Okay.
In the height of Showtime. But be it as it may, I got a different approach to this trade, right?
Okay.
I love the trade for the Lakers, by the way. Love it for obvious reasons. But I want to get to the why, right? If y'all want to sit here and buy that jive about my Luka's weight, being out of shape, and all that kind of stuff, man, look, if y'all believe it, I got beachfront property in Idaho for you. I'm so serious. I'm so serious.
Okay.
First off, you've never seen a trade of this magnitude in NBA history.
Never.
Also, the Lakers got less in this particular trade when the league turned down that trade with Chris Paul for the Lakers. This is a bigger haul than the Chris Paul trade when Kobe was there that the league rejected. I want you to remember this. But get to the why. Ratings are down. And the cornerstone of the NBA is Boston and LA. But ratings are down huge in the NBA.
Product is trash.
The product is not good. The tournament hasn't been, the in-season tournament didn't even do as well as what they thought it was. They keep experimenting, and they need a reason to get some type of superstar, other thing. Now, granted, LeBron is in LA, but LeBron, they're looking at a transition after the fact. Luka is an international star.
Yeah.
International star. He's 25 years old. So this whole thing about, he's out of shape. Okay, I'm 6'4". I'm going to get into the other part in just a second. Luka is 6'7". They say, oh, my God, he's 270. I got a surprise for y'all. I'm 6'4". I'm 260.
I get what you're saying.
So to sit here and say that he's 6'7", 270, I'm 6'4", 260.
I think LeBron is 6'8", 260.
So this whole thing, somebody said, you can see it in his face. He's fat. He's out of shape. Bruh, the dude is still playing. I've been out on the injury, but he's never been an athletic freak. He never will be.
Yeah.
But let me take y'all back to how I used to be back in the day. You didn't have athletic freaks like physical specimens in basketball, and they were still beating your head in. Look at Larry Bird. Now, Larry Bird wasn't athletic, but guess what? Luka really ain't either. But guess what? He gets you on that block and on that post, and it's getting done, Scotty. So this whole thing about his physique, his conditioning, man, that's nonsense. Y'all can buy that if you want to. It's about the NBA needs to do something, to help with regards to viewership, because it's down. And go look at it. But outside of that, man, I love the trade. It's transitioning, letting you know what the Lakers are going to do after LeBron, because I figure LeBron maybe tops got what would you? I figure 2 years.
2 years. 2 years.
I figure LeBron and Luka's 25. So literally, he's 27. He's the face of the league at this point, international star, and he's in LA, cornerstone pillar of the NBA. And then also with this trade, it lets you know that the Lakers are going to make another move because they're going to need another big.
Yeah.
And if they get that, oh man, the Lakers could actually get Dwight Howard off into the league right now, and they'll be a whole different team. So But to answer your question, man, love the trade for the Lakers. I like it for Dallas too, just because I think Kyrie, to your point, that's a damn good point that you made. But again, I want to see what other move they make with that. And I think by doing it, because I like AD at the 4, you got what you got at the 5. I think it'd be a good move.
Lively. Listen, I think this team is not far away. And what I mean by that is I think I would have taken the approach, and I don't think people will agree with me. I would have got a haul for Luka instead of a 1-for-1 for Luka, right? And I like somebody said, why not have gone to Houston and got Amen Thompson? Like, I like Amen. Like, I like those young guys that are wiry, and kind of make it look like, I think if you would have gave Jason Kidd a young, fiery, run up and down the court type of team, I think that would have worked, especially with Derek Lively. We just need, I don't think Kyrie Irving's the point guard to get it going. Now, to me, if what you want to add it to, I think you got to go out and get a Bradley Beal. You got to go out and get, I don't even say a third superstar. You just got to get an impact player that is a slasher, that can shoot, that can go to the hole. But I think we needed that point guard situation to be taken care of, and I just don't like Kyrie Irving as the leader of a team. I don't think he's that guy. Me personally,
I think what Dallas could really use. I can't think of the comp in the league right now, but I can give you an old comp.
Yeah.
I think Dallas would really, really use a Trevor Ariza type.
That's good. Yeah, 3-and-D guy. A 3-and-D guy.
They need a real good, and I can think of who would actually fit the bill for them right now. But I think if they got that, like a Trevor Ariza type of 3-and-D guy, at the 2, I think that'll really, really make Dallas formidable.
I know people are not going to like this, but I would take Chris Paul over Kyrie Irving. I would take Chris for this situation.
Facilitating.
Klay Thompson, AD, Derek Lively, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, you need a Chris Paul type of. KCP would be a great.
Oh, yes. But you know what? But this speaks to but this speaks to where Klay is, because a younger Klay on this team, you got that.
You're good. But I would take. I don't know about Derek White. I'm a little. He's a great shooter. I need a Rajon Rondo, but an upgrade in scoring. And CP is that. And if he could just stay healthy in the playoffs, because think about it, if we're doing the same thing, Kyrie has an injury problem, just like CP has an injury problem. The only thing that you'll say is Kyrie's just younger. That's it. But they both have injury problems. I would take CP and Jason Kidd, that mindset of just facilitating, getting it going, alley-oops to Derek Lively, passes, and CP can get you in an isolation off the elbow. I mean, I would like that just a little bit, but I agree with Derek White. If you want to go Derek White, he's younger, he'll be around longer and make that situation work. But I just wish we had a better point guard situation for me. But I don't think that, because if people don't know, we've beat OKC 3 times this year. 3 times. Like, they haven't beat us, right? So we have the pieces. Alonzo Ball, I mean.
That's a worse injury history.
I'll take that. You give me Trae Young, I'll take that all day. He averaged 8 to 10 assists. I'll take Trae Young every day. Every day. You give me Trae Young, I'll take it every single day.
Well, hey, I tell you what. Who won the trade though?
You talking about this trade or
this right here?
Oh, you gotta give it to the Lakers. You got a 25-year-old for the next 10 years. I mean, now this year is a wash. Y'all ain't got no defense. Y'all ain't got no center. I'm curious to see what that looks like going forward. Of who you can kind of pull to be a big, but I want to see how LeBron and Luka, that has to be the most ball dominant team I've ever seen in my life. If you thought Westbrook with LeBron was bad, this has to be 10 times worse.
Maybe not. I think at this juncture, LeBron is ball dominant in regards to bringing the ball to the floor, but then I think LeBron could actually extend his career further if he actually plays the four.
He needs to go into Karl Malone mode.
That's what I'm saying.
If LeBron goes Karl Malone, he got a good 5 more years. If he just goes Karl Malone.
If he goes to the four. If he goes to the four and Luka, you know what I'm saying, bring the ball up again, you can actually add Dwight Howard to this roster, and the Lakers, they become a better team. Seriously, with Dwight Howard. Literally just for rebounding and defense.
I'll take that.
So, and you signed Dwight to the veterans minimum anyway. Bring him in just for defensive rebounding and defensive pressure. You got Jackson Hayes. You can actually bring out the bench, you know what I'm saying, for that. He's not a starter. He is a role player. You bring in Dwight Howard for that. Again, you can add some other 3-and-D pieces because remember, you got the Kobe of the Ozarks, who's still going to be a great asset on this team. Well, man, I'm telling you, you limit LeBron touches or having the ball, bringing the ball to the floor. You leave that to Luka, leave that to the other guards. LeBron block is going to be dangerous.
It will. They said, Mr. Packner said, Dallas just traded Caleb Martin, sending Quentin Grimes to Philly.
That's a good move.
I like Caleb.
Well, let me tell you why it's a good move. Now Caleb Martin's a great 3-point. He's a good 3-point shooter. You got Clay through a good 3-point shooter. I see what. Hey, I can't knock it. Dallas going all in on this year. They're trying to.
I don't know why. That was my whole why do you feel like it's this year? Maybe because it's so up and down in the NBA, there's not really like a dominant team. Like maybe so, because I haven't really seen one, and I don't watch a lot of NBA. I'm just not a fan of the game anymore. Like I miss the mid-range and the fadeaways, and I miss all that, man. I miss the post moves. I miss that stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I miss I miss KG. I miss all that. It just Jermaine O'Neal's like those guys where I miss that type of basketball. They're just not relevant in this day and age now. It's not there.
I actually missed them taking the hand checking out. I mean, of having the ability to play defense. You know, they made everything for scoring. They pretty much eliminated defense in the NBA. And guys really don't play until, you know what I'm saying, toward the end of the game. And also, too, I'm not a fan of load management. Now, I'll get into why. People say, oh, well, you're paying this guy all this money. Well, the thing about the 82-game season is it's a marathon. The 82 games represent something. It provides how good are you after all that wear and tear in the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like a form of cheating in a sense. Like, okay, I'm going to rest these guys because these games don't matter. You're jockeying for position with regards to the playoff seeding. But I'm not a fan of load management. But again, to me, guys playing all the games. On top of that, you got you mentioned about I was gonna say about hand checking, being able to play real defense. If they actually put that, but I also would say this, another point, kind of off the beaten path. I think they need to do something with possibly extending the 3-point line or adding a la MTV, adding maybe 3-4 point spots on the court, just beyond half court.
I think I like this. I like this. I like somebody said you can only shoot a certain amount of threes per game. And once you've used those threes, that's it. Like, so let's say you can shoot 25 threes a game. And once you've shot those 25 threes a game, you can't shoot them anymore. And I was like, or they count as twos, or maybe, yeah. I listen, I think I'm all for it. At the end of the day, it's a game. Does it make it gimmicky? Maybe a little bit, right? But
I tell you what, to that point, I actually like that idea. But how about this? What if anything in the paint, solely in the paint, is 1 point? Everything out of the paint is 2 points, standard 2 points, and then you have your 3-point line to add to the fact of you can only shoot so many threes. Because see, now that's going to bring back, by doing that, watch this. That'll bring back the mid-range jumper.
Yes.
Because that's the only way you're going to get 2 points.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't,
man, because
it's gotta be something. Because it's just bad. It's just, bro. It's literally pickup basketball, and Bama's just shooting threes. That is it. They just come up and they run back down court. I'm like, yo, you don't even really see sets. You don't see like backdoors, down screens, flare screen. You don't see a lot of that type of stuff. Just like the minutia of basketball is really gone, and just how people came about getting it. You know, back in the day where it would be like a Zabonis or something, or Vlade Divac in the post, and Bama's running past them. You know what I'm saying? He fake this pass, or it just, I don't know, man.
Well, you know, I'm in the minority, but I don't think they should have offensive 3 seconds.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I think they need to take some of that stuff away. I think they need to take away defensive 3 seconds.
I agree.
Just let it, hey, stack the paint, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Figure it out. So I definitely agree with you on that. Let's move on to a little NFL. Myles Garrett asks for a trade request in probably the most respectful way I've ever seen in my life. Wrote such a nice dissertation. Let's read it to the fans if you haven't seen it. Okay. It says, as a kid, dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. And that goal fuels me today more than that. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of Cleveland Browns have made me this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I've loved calling the city home, my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton, which is right down the road, literally. It has always been to compete and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett.
Bruh, that whole second paragraph was basically saying, I got the desire to get to a Super Bowl, but man, y'all tripping. Y'all ain't finna do nothing. Give me about it.
Y'all niggas ass. Y'all ass.
Not only are you bad, you're not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
So help me. Get me up out of here. Send me to some place that's at least going to compete and be competitive for a Super Bowl. I'll say this: the timing of this is perfect.
Why you say that? Because it's Super Bowl Media Day, Super
Bowl week. It's early enough to where after the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, way before we get into the new season, because the new NFL season will actually start in March. I believe March 17th, typically the middle of March. I've already put my trade request out before the draft. So possibly during the draft, I can be a trading piece. I'm letting you know I can be a piece to trade. You know what I'm saying?
Right before the draft and help move up, go down. Yeah, that's
and so because you have to look at this. You know, you look at what they did for the Deshaun Watson contract, which that was totally on the owner. And you know, Cleveland has the number 2 pick. You know, other teams may jockey up to want to get him to move up. This actually adds something to who's going to get Shador and Cam now, because this is out there. Cleveland has the 2nd pick in the draft. You know, who's going to move up to, you know, saying in contention to want to get an elite pass rusher to get us over the top. I know we'll get into the teams in just a second, but the thing is, you know, you're going to have some teams who are a player away, you know what I'm saying, that could probably feel like he could take them over the top. But I like it. I like him doing it. He did it the right way, in my opinion. So the thing is, will be, you know, who he'll end up going to. Now, are they going to work with him to get him to a particular team, or are they going to be in their feelings and say, hey, we're just going to get the best that we really, really can for you? With them having the 2nd pick in the draft, Scotty, I got to tell you, he made it advantageous for him. Really, he really, really did. So I like to look for him. Just imagine what's going to happen here in 2 months.
I like it. And Adam Schefter brought this up of the trade of the comp for a Myles Garrett, a potential trade comp when 27-year-old Khalil Mack was traded from Oakland to Chicago. The Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick for Mack. 2nd-round pick and a conditional 5th round was given back to the Raiders. No, I'm sorry, to Oakland. To Oakland, yeah. So that's what Chicago got. No, where was he at first? He was at Chicago.
The Raiders. He was at the Raiders.
He was at the Raiders, and then he went to Chicago. Okay, so what the Raiders got, the Chicago got back a 2nd round from Oakland, a conditional 5th round pick.
Yep.
So you're talking about Myles Garrett, 2 years older, coming off a 14 sack season. Now it's still 2 first round picks for me.
But the difference is Myles Garrett had better productivity sack-wise than what Khalil did. Now, granted, the Bears' defense was pretty damn good when they added him. You know, saying he was a difference maker on defense. But I got to tell you, now I'm gonna pose you a question. If you're Cleveland, you got your first round pick, you got the second pick in the draft. So obviously somebody's going to move up to get that pick, right?
Yeah.
You know, well, you could take that pick, but if they want, think about it. Well, I'm saying it backwards. You got the second pick in the draft.
Okay.
Now, if you want to trade, because you know, to me, if they trade him, then that lets me know they're going to get a quarterback because I can ship off Deshaun Watson's ship him off.
Yep.
And his contract, and I can sit there and pick. Let's say they get Shador, right? Shador goes to Cleveland, but now I pick up 2 extra first-round picks. You know, you'll have one in this draft, and I'm certain one in next year's draft. If I get, and also I get an extra 3rd-round pick in this particular draft, I'm taking that. Well, because think about it, you got a rookie on a rookie contract deal. I can add another 1st-rounder in his place with this class, and then another 3rd-rounder. I'm taking it, and a 1st next year. So that gives me 2 1st-round picks this year. You know what? Next year
to build. So I mean, okay, let's break these down because if we're talking about trade requests, now you're talking about the teams in the positions that they're in. So if you're doing anything with the Eagles or the Ravens, you know you're below 20, right? So you're in the lows. Anything with Green Bay, you're below 20 as well. Dallas is an 11. That's not bad. Now, me personally, and I told Zoe right before we got on, I'm trading Micah. And I know a lot of you guys were like, what? Micah? Listen, I don't think Micah's a true defensive end. I don't care what you say. You could be like, oh, he's the youngest to have 10 sacks. I don't give a damn. I do not believe that Micah is a true defensive end. He is a linebacker perpetrating as a DN, right? So to me, I would trade Micah. I would get Myles because remember, Myles is already on a contract. I think he's like 2 years. He has 2 years left on his contract before he has to resign, if I'm not mistaken. Micah needs to get resigned next year, but you do get the option with him. I do. You're on. He's on. You know, he's a 1st-round pick, so you do get the option with him. But I would take Myles over Micah because I believe he fits as a true DN. And I don't know if you have enough money. You damn sure don't have enough money to keep Myles and to keep Micah and pay Micah. So I'm not a fan of that. So I would trade him for that. I wouldn't. If I'm Dallas, I don't want to give up my 1st-round pick. I don't, because you know we're gonna need it because you're gonna have to start drafting because of your cap issues, and we draft pretty damn well. So that now, if you're the Eagles, listen, man. I don't know how the Eagles do what they do. Every year they buy somebody, they go get somebody, and I'm like, damn, how much cap money do Alabama's have? So I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens or Green Bay just give up their draft pick and say, hey, we'll give you this year's, we'll give you next year's because we need a DN. And let's add Detroit. Detroit's D-line after the white boy went down was atrocious. So,
well, I mentioned Washington because you look at where they are in the timeline with regards to the quarterback, and they got the money.
The cap space is good.
They got the money. They got the cap space, and that will be. I'm telling you, he could tilt the scales of that defense if they trade for him. And so Washington,
Jonathan Payne, Allen Payne, and Myles Garrett. Shit, that's tough. With Lulu as a lot Lulu.
But Myles Garrett actually tips the scales. You know what I'm saying? For that particular team. Washington, if you really look at all the teams and like who he really could benefit, it's Washington. It really is.
Day one. But if I'm Detroit, to me, I think Detroit needs to play the Rams game. And if you've been watching the Rams for the last 6 years, they did not care about draft picks. For the last 5 to 6 years, they have not cared about draft picks. They've been just fine picking with 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th round guys and using their 1st and 2nd round picks to get high level players like Ramsey and Matthew and all those type of guys. So I would not be surprised if the Rams say, F it, let's give them a 1st round pick and let's get Myles to add on our defensive line. And we just keep it because they want to trade Cooper Kupp, right? So they're trying to trade Cooper Kupp. and you could just figure out how to flip it on offense and make our defense better in the same faction. So don't leave the Rams out of it. Don't leave Detroit out of it. If I'm Detroit, I go all in. I go all in to get Myles Garrett. Why? Jared Goff is signed. We just Jameis. I don't got so much with JMO. I only got so much time with St. Brown. Jamar Gibbs' contract gonna come around. Like you, I go in right. Oh, the Bills too. That's not a bad one too. The Bills isn't a bad one too. But if I'm Detroit, I go all in.
What pick does Detroit have?
They got to be in the 20s because they did well in the season. Let me see NFL.
So one thing I would do, if I'm Washington, I'm shopping him. Let me tell you why. If I know I'm going to pick a quarterback, if let's just say you got a team that's anywhere from 7 to 12, right? Let's say Dallas.
Bills are 30. Bills are 30.
Let's say we got a team that's 7 through 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is willing to give up their first round pick for Myles Garrett. If I'm Washington, I'm taking that because watch this. If I go ahead and select Shedeur or Cam Ward at number 2,
mm-hmm.
I too then could either go and I can draft Abdul Carter from Pitt State. You're talking about you're replacing the pass rusher with another pass rusher, and you got your quarterback. So you got a bookend on defense and a bookend on offense to go ahead and restructure. You know what I'm saying? Your team to build your team around. So you got your quarterback. And you got your elite pass rusher. The next thing after that is get you an O-lineman, and you can actually get that, in the second round or in the third round, and you could build from there. If I'm if I'm Cleveland, you reset your team with this. I'm definitely shopping them. Definitely.
Yeah, and you got to shop everybody. You got to shop Deshaun, and from what I've been told, I got an inside in the NFL, but what I've read is that they might revoke his money because of his injury and having video footage of him not wearing his boot, right? So that dummy, TikTok, right? So that could play a faction in that aspect as well. So if I'm Cleveland, I think you're absolutely right. This is a great time to hit the reset button on the whole thing. Use Myles as a cornerstone piece to get a lot of draft capital, maybe a player and draft capital. Maybe just for some depth, right? And then, like you said, turn around, double up in this year's draft, double up in next year's draft. But you really got to hit. You really got to hit. Like people say that a lot, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have all these." You got to hit. These Bama's like, if you need Detroit's GM at this point, because that Bama done hit on everybody last year.
Well, you about to see now because you lost your OC, you lost your DC. We're gonna see now.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. We'll figure it out. But those are our teams that we feel could make impacts in the NFL situation and what's going on with Myles Garrett. But I think if I'm Cleveland, I got to get rid of him before the draft. I got to because unless you feel like you don't know where Abdul Carter is going to go. And so you're like, hey, I want that kid, so I'm going to wait till he gets drafted, then trade for him, and then get him, and then some other draft picks behind it, maybe a first for next year, a third for next year, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So you could pull off something like that, but I would try to definitely get as much as I can in this draft off of Myles Garrett whenever possible. And then if I can get rid of Deshaun Watson, even better. And then you just keep Jameis Winston around for one more year for a transitional period.
Tell you what, you brought a good point about Deshaun's contract. Remember, if his contract is voided, then you actually automatically remove all that dead cap money that he's going to get hit with. Now Cleveland has a lot more money to play with in free agency. So to your point, now you actually go in and you get a quarterback, and then let's say you have a trade partner, you're actually able to draft Abdul Carter. Now when you go into free agency, what that looks like, what I'm saying, for Cleveland.
We'll see. Guys, make sure you go register for them golf tournaments. Okay, listen, the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament is happening Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo at the Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club in Hampton, Georgia. Registration for foursomes, no diddy. All right. No
Okay.
Diddy. $500 individual, $150. All right. Make sure you go register at www.tubmangolf.org, or you can scan the QR code on the screen as you're watching it right now. This is the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament partnered with Alabama State's men and women's golf teams. Make sure you go register right here, right now. If you're in Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, come on up. Have a great time with your foursome. No Diddy. An individual 150, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. Come check it out. It's going to be an absolute wonderful event. Now, let's get into some hot topics on Showtime. Let's talk about spring games and are they dead and gone, Zoe? Quick little video to give us context and we'll dive right into it.
And I am always mindful of that. But with the era that we're in right now, I really believe that spring games are reaching, to the point of kind of no return. And this all started this past week with Matt Rule. And Matt Rule came out and said Nebraska's going to cancel their spring game because of tampering and all these other reasons. So let's have a listen to the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Matt Rule.
And I think it's really fundamentally, I hate to say it like this, it's really because, last year we're one of the more televised. We were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. So to go out and bring in a bunch of new players and then showcase them for all the other schools to watch, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute free, open, common market, and so I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. I don't want these guys all being able to watch our guys and say, wow, he looks like a pretty good player. Let's go get him.
Okay. One, I can't blame him at all. And this is not the first time we've seen this. We saw this last year with Ole Miss, where they basically had a spring festival instead of a game. They had tug of war and they had slam dunk contests. Like, they had fun, I guess, activities for the players to participate in, but they didn't want to put tape out there and have their players potentially light it up. And now all of a sudden they're having to deal with guys potentially entering the portal in May when you thought for sure you were going to have them on your roster heading into the fall a couple months later. So the elimination of spring games appears to be the result of tampering, injuries, and the amount of NIL earnings that a lot of these players might have access to.
So, two-part question to you. I'm going to throw a two-part question I'm throwing at you.
Sure.
One, is this just a Power 5 G5 issue? And secondly, should this affect HBCUs?
It's a D1 issue, and it will most definitely affect HBCUs.
Okay.
The reason it gives me apropos is you have to look at, and I'm gonna use the portal market, right? Let's just look at the SWAC and MEAC, right? We won't get to all the FCS, but look at the SWAC and MEAC. You look at when it comes to guys who really shine during the season, there's a common quote that we all use, right? If they really want them, they're gonna come and get them. Well, if we know that to be true, it's not so much worrying about the opponents within the conference poaching in that regard, right? Because again, we have some schools that have collectives and some that don't. So we're not looking at it at that angle. What we're looking at is there's a fraternity in coaching. Coaches are talk to other coaches, and so if there's a really, really good player on your roster, if they shine in the spring game, or I'm able to, get some type of view of that, right? Then it's open season before the season get here. I just feel like it's a way to protect your asset, because we already know that we feel like we got them on a 1-year rental as it is, right? If we got a really, really good player, well, you want to maintain that asset for that full year. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you put the cart before the horse, right? If you got that player and he really shines in that spring game, and some people will say, oh, well, it's not like our spring games are on TV. They don't have to be. Remember, you have coaches, you know what I'm saying, that can go and look, because if there's word of a certain player at this school on the FCS level and he fits the part, we don't have to wait until the end of the season to get him. remember, we can pull him back during the summer. So if he's looking good in the spring, and we had a player that we miscalculated or left Scotty, and hey, we need to fill in that spot. I don't have to go to the pool. I mean, I don't have to, wait until December to get him. Hey, man, we were recruiting that kid down there at Jackson State, kind of fell through the cracks. Man, he looked real good in that spring game. We got some good reports on him. But let's go ahead and throw some at his way. Why wait till the end of the season when I can get him during the summer? So that's the thing that we have to look out for. It's not so much about, we don't want schools in the conference to see what we got. It is what it is. They're pretty much on even playing field for the most part, right? It'll be preventing and protecting the asset that you have.
I think this is the part where I'm with you, but I differ. I think for a lot of Power 5 programs, if I missed out on a 4 or 5-star kid, I want to see what he looks like at your spring game. If I was there at that, if we was at that top 3, that top 5, and I want to see what he looks like. I want to see, that's just me, right? Or whatever kid I was like, man, we was trying to get that kid and he went here, I'm cool. My issue with it on the FCS side is I do agree with you that if they gonna come get him, they gonna come get him. My thing is, I don't think a lot of schools even really publicly promote enough to even know. Like, I rarely see Alabama State post a player that they've recruited that's committed or signed. I rarely see it. I usually see it from the big programs, the FAMs, the Jacksons, Prairie View now, right? Like, I'm seeing these guys come out more and more, with Delaware State, Norfolk State, with their head coaches that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you don't even know what you're looking at, right? Like, a lot of times when you go into a spring game, you're trying to see what the kid that you saw last year, if he's progressed or if he's gotten better. You don't even know what you're looking at when it comes to, the new guys that are supposed to be signees and stuff like that. So that's my issue with the FCS side. But the Power 5 side, I completely agree with. Listen, I'm not about to make it easy for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm not about to. If we get out there and we're on a televised game, now, granted, do I have fans to appease? Do I have a budget and alum stuff? And if my boosters tell me I have to do it, then I have to do it. But if I don't have to do it, I'm not about to make it easy for you to be like, oh, man, I ain't never seen this kid. Who's this kid? Because why? Because the same kid that's trying to show out in the spring game could be the same kid that gets pulled and tampered with because he's trying to make a spot. And now he done been pulled and tampered with and go somewhere else. So I'm not mad at Matt Rule for his opinion on not playing the spring game. I wouldn't be mad at a lot of schools. Be like, nah, because it is the wild, wild west. And this is what I would say. There has to listen. I know the NCAA is like a no hands on zone right now. They're like, hey man, we ain't trying to get our hands involved with nothing. There has to be some penalty, like not even a penalty in the sense of like punishing the kid, but you just got to start putting windows or something in place.
Guardrails in.
Yeah, guardrails to keep it all under wraps because it's getting ridiculous. Because when the NCAA came out and said, "Oh, we don't have no transfer portal. It's just whenever you want to leave, you leave." You're like, "Oh my God!" Now you don't even got to go through compliance no more. You just leave. But,
well, see, that's why, to the point that you made earlier, that's why I do it, right? Like you stated, if I'm a P5 coach, hey, I'm not going to do nothing. I want to see how you look in your spring game. Well, guess what? If I'm an FCS coach, taking that approach, let me not have a spring game. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't have a spring game, there's nothing for you to see. That gives me more of a guard, that's a form of a guardrail. That's a protection for me. You see what I'm saying? With regards to maintaining at least that player for one season. It's guaranteeing me a season.
Jumped into the portal.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying if I'm an FCS coach, you can see that approach, right? Because again, when I saw this, I went back to last season because I remember when Ole Miss did that. They pretty much just had, man, the guy was playing tug of war. It was like an all-star thing, basically, right? They just had basically, it was signing day. It was like Meet the Rebels. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was that whole spring. And they did that for that reason, because again, when you talk about, having that game, and granted, most people are like, well, hey, you got guys that play in the spring, they ball out, and then the season comes and they don't do anything. But and some of that could be true. But again, we're talking about measurables, number one. And again, if I already had my eye on a guy, what sometimes the spring game does is validate what you are already feeling. You see what I'm saying? And so when you get that, it's like, okay, go ahead and bring them in here. And if I'm an FCS coach, again, we already, for the most part, are going to get a good portion of these guys on a 1-year rental. Let me make anything advantageous for me to retain these guys for that 1 full year. Let me guarantee myself for a full year. I don't want to sit here and have free agency, because unlike all the FBS programs, we're guaranteed to have free agency. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
Because everybody has this perception of what we perceive to be moving up, right?
Yeah.
And they're chasing the money, because again, those institutions can pay what most FCS schools can't. So we're guaranteed free agency, whether we like it or not. The FBS, not so much. They have it, but it's just exchanging property, because the money's still going to be there. But they're poaching us because we're going to basically little money to, chasing money. And so for us, we got to guarantee what we can have for a full year. And that's why I see FCS coaches trying to, end up going this way. I think once one school in the SWAC does it, I guarantee you it will happen.
Others are going to follow. I'll say this, and to the question, to my second part question, does it matter to HBCU spring games? I think only to the big programs. And why do I say that? It's because those are money makers, right? Like if there's a way that I can get fans and make money, even selling merchandise, like you said, signing autographs, pictures, season tickets, whatever I can do to get you in to sell to you, that's a plus. But a lot of programs aren't going to have the fan bases. Like I can't see FAMU not having a spring game. It's a thing, right? Like the new excited, you're excited for the season. Football has been away for a time. I cannot see Jackson not having one. I cannot see Southern not having one. Like certain programs, I just cannot see it. But I tell you one thing, if one of them programs say no, then it's going to trickle down to other ones kind of reconsidering, is it beneficial? Is it really beneficial? But me personally, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think it's a big deal for HBCUs. I really don't, because I feel as though your kids are it's not a lot of kids from HBCUs that are going to get scooped up by a spring game to a G5 or Power 5, because you got to prove through stats, through game tape, because I'm not about to pay you for something that I'm looking at you for measurable wise. You gotta, so like a Terrell is always going to be a hot topic because of what he's produced on the field. But if you got a kid, and I'll use a perfect example for you, Zoe, the Lockhart kid, the quarterback, right? 6'4" kid, can run, can throw. There's no G5 or Power 5 program going to come get him off a spring game unless they feel he has that much potential. You get what I'm saying? Like, they gotta see it, because when you're coming from a lower level, you gotta prove that you can do it on your level before I pay you to come do it on my level. So that's the only iffy thing about the whole situation. But or unless a kid has played D1, Power 5 ball, come down, and you see him, you probably go back up. But I think for HBCUs, I would keep it in the back of my mind, but I would do it just until it gets crazy.
Here's the example I want to use to that. You're absolutely right? We don't have enough data. There's not enough players leaving in droves like that, right? But the point I want to bring up is that we have the talent that they want. Let me give you a real good example. The difference is for most of our schools, if they get a big enough player or from one of our teams, we feel the effects of it more than they would. Give you an example. Let's say I'm at Pine Bluff, right? And what's the receiver?
Javon Gibson.
Okay, Gibson. Really, really good receiver, right? But then what if in that spring game he showed flashes? Again, coaches talk. So a lot behind the scenes about what they have. Trust me on this. But then let's say Gibson actually looks pretty good in the spring. There were already eyes on him. Trust me when I tell you. Then he actually does what he does in the spring game. Now, you see what he is to Pine Bluff. Now, granted, in the season, they didn't really have a good team, and we're going to get into some of that later on because their defense was putrid, right?
Yeah.
But again, offensively, and remember, most of these moves, if I'm an offensive coordinator on the FBS level looking for pieces, he's a detrimental piece to Pine Bluff. Now, granted, they did what they did during the season, and we're speaking after the fact. But let's have this conversation that we're having right now with, let's say, before last season in mind. They got Higgins. Pine Bluff feel real good about their team. They got the quarterback, and they got Gibson. Imagine Gibson actually get yanked after the spring game last year. Now, granted, I know in mind we're going to say, well, they didn't win games anyway, but we're talking about before last season happened. That coaching staff and they feel really, really good about what they can do offensively. The season hasn't played yet. And then before the season starts, your best wide receiver is yanked off the team, gone somewhere else. That's what I mean. To prevent that is what I'm saying. And I'm saying because, again, when we'll feel the effects of that. If you sit there and you look at Grambling, yes, Grambling didn't have the season that they had, but remember, going to last season, that's a better example. Grambling had the Offensive Player of the Year. They were picked in some places to finish a whole lot better than what they did. There's other parts that they had the season that they had, but Andrew Jones was a dog for them.
Yeah.
They were banking on him, and he put up damn good numbers even in that losing season. Now imagine he get yanked after the spring game. You see what I'm going with this?
I get
you. Really feel the effects of that. That's all I'm saying. That I can see some coaches want to prevent that from happening because look, Jones ended up leaving anyway. Where he's at, he's headed to Ole Miss. So,
listen, I don't agree with Coach Green a lot, but this one I think kind of hits. Most players that come in late in the summer don't play. So if a player is willing to leave a playing spot to sit on the bench for money, let them go. Some players will, some players won't. Depending on injury, depending on how good you are. But I don't see FBS and G5 programs stealing talent that has not produced. That's the only thing. Like Giovanni Gibson stay at UAPB again, and they grab him in the spring. I completely understand it. I'm like, hey, kid went dumb. He went dumb last year, right? Because maybe in the spring game at Oklahoma, somebody got hurt, right? So they're like, hey, we see this kid down here at UAPB. We can get him, grab him real quick. Don't gotta pay him top dollar, but we can pay him something. He gonna come. You know what I'm saying? I can see those type of situations happening. I just can't see it happen with guys that are not proven. I think those guys that are proven get those deals than guys that are unproven.
To your point, again, you're absolutely right. I can give some examples. Like they don't have to go dumb; they can be productive, right?
Yeah.
Dalen Ball in the Jackson State.
That's fair. Michigan, yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, he has the measurables, got a few things on film, and I'm telling you, coaches talk a lot more than what you think. They don't always have to go crazy numbers to actually move up. Man, if they got because tampering is crazy right now. And again, they're talking on all levels. Look, you got D2 coaches, D2 players that's actually moving up to FBS and playing and starting.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's happening. So, but now granted, that's with a full year film. But man, look, they got eyes in some practices sometimes, but coaches talk. So again, I'm just saying that when it comes to our schools, we don't have most of our schools don't have rosters where they're just loaded to where, again, on certain positions, you lose your best player, you're going to feel the effect of that the whole entire year. I'm just saying that you would hate to lose your best player in the spring. And so whatever you can to kind of guardrail that, I can see some coaches trying to do.
Makes sense. I can definitely, again, at the end of the day, I can definitely see the UAPBs, the Valleys. They're like, hey, it doesn't benefit us to do a spring game. It just doesn't. We'll do a full scrimmage and we'll call it a day. You know what I'm saying? And just keep it pushing. But the big programs, especially I think with PV bringing the Coach Jackson and the energy that he's bringing, you definitely going to want to see a spring game. You want to see what he's going to have. You know what I'm saying? FAMU with Cozy, TC coming back off a Celebration Bowl year. You just going to want to see some of these teams like Southern and Grambling. I could care less. If I'm being honest, I don't really care. But, hey, that's just me. But, but I think PV, Alabama State, what that look like, right? Like, because the quarterback situation, right? Like, there's certain teams that you just kind of want to, like, let's see. Alabama A&M with Sam Shea, what that going to look like, right? So I think some of these programs.
There's some intrigue there.
There's some intrigue there. Great word. There's some intrigue there. But a lot of these other programs, Southern Grambling, I really don't care. The fans do, but not me. So, it is what it is. Let's get into some HBCU history. And you are a historian. The Southern Heritage Classic at Tennessee State, after nearly 35 years of participation in the Southern Heritage Classic, Tennessee State is moving on. That quote from HBCU Sports, the ballhead Rick Fox guy, he writes that. I do not know his name, but he writes it. Going forward, Also from HBCU Sports says Jones offered Tennessee State a 5-year, $400,000 contract to continue in the Southern Heritage Classic, which began in 1990. The game was an annual rivalry between Tennessee State and Jackson State before JSU pulled out in 2022, citing financial reasons as well. UAPB signed on for the two Southern Heritage Classic games in 23-24, and that agreement has expired. As of the publication of this story, there is no report of any replacements or substitute for the 2025 Southern Heritage Classic. Now, Zoe, I'm gonna ask you a question. I need you to be honest.
Okay.
If there's no Dion, do you stay in this Southern Heritage Classic? And then on part 2, do you think this should go on without Fred Jones?
Without Deion Sanders, no, the Classic still ends.
Okay.
And yes, the Classic should, the game should still be played without Fred Jones. If you look at the first part of your quote right there, you offered them a 5-year, $400,000 deal. Scotty, do you know what the previous deal was?
I think it was 175.
It was 385.
380. Okay. Oh, for 3 or 4 year deal?
Yes, it was a 4-year deal for $385,000. That was the previous deal.
Let me ask you this: Is that okay? Is that 385 per year, or is that 385 split up into 4 years?
385 each year.
Okay, 385 each year. Okay, go ahead.
But here's the thing. So now we're speaking on two different institutions and two different viewpoints. Let me say that first. We're speaking on Tennessee State. I can get to Jack State later, but be it as it may, I'm just speaking to the actual offer. So the previous deal was for $385,000. I believe it was a 3 or 4 year deal, but either way it go, the payout was $385,000. By your math, Scotty, how much difference is that from $400,000?
15.
So we're talking about a $15,000 difference with a raise. That's disrespectful for both institutions, right? And so the game, being that it's a neutral site game, is dead smack in the Memphis is dead smack in the middle between Nashville and Jackson. 3 hours for both, right? You get there, and that game, literally, if you take the average for the attendance for every year that game has been in its inception in 1991, and I've gone to damn near all of them, Scott, they're averaging about 50,000 fans a game. It's a big classic. Memphis turns out forward. It's attended well. It's a great vibe. You're talking about $50,000, and literally the schools have been hovering around the same payout every year. And now Jackson State leaves, and this is the best offer you can come up with. It's $400,000 a year, up from just $15,000 in Jackson State. And you know, when Jackson State left and other entities tried to pretty much warn like what the payout was. It's ridiculous. And so Tennessee State made the great move. Now, I look, it's no secret. We can actually speak to it. You know, I would look for these two institutions to get back together in Memphis, possibly, you know, under a whole new set of guys, you know, a whole new game, a whole new structure with a whole new payout, and rightfully so. Now, when we talk about payout, and I can, you know, we talk about Tennessee State and Jackson State, you know, now I'm of the mindset, you know, obviously I don't believe it actually should be a 50-50 payout, right? Because if you look at that classic, Jackson State has covered that game. And that's not me being a Jackson State, fan, a homer or anything.
I've seen, we went twice, and it has always been Jackson State fills up 70% of the stadium.
You can easily just take what they do at home, because if you actually do that, then it's actually even worse, right? Tennessee State pretty much averages, I think, about 8,000 fans a game, you know? So if you actually use those figures, which they typically do, when you talk about classic pay structure, the fact that Tennessee State, this is why staying in the game was so advantageous for them, right? Because they're doing way better in the classic than they would be at home. But their AD came out with a statement basically saying, under the, you know, the guise of the, you know, financial issues that they're having right now, you know, this wasn't beneficial to them, and it isn't. You know, this game, even for TSU, you know, they actually should be pocketing no less than $600,000 for this game at a minimum. You know, when you look at Jackson State can sit there and throw their hat in the ring and say, hey, Jackson State should be doing a minimum of $750K for this game. If you look at what Jackson State's pretty much doing just on ticket sales on average at home, they can garner that asking price, you see what I'm saying, for that. But hey, nonetheless, if both schools say, hey, we'll do a 50-50 split, Scotty, and we both want $700K, you know, with expenses covered for that game, that should be the going rate for that particular game. Because again, if I know going in, I got a title sponsor with FedEx. I'm going to get butts in the seats. This game is going to do 50,000 point blank period. And they dropped the ball because
don't even include tailgate. Jesus Christ, don't even include tailgate.
And here's the thing: they dropped the ball because if you look at this, a 12-game season. So both schools, because Tennessee State has an 11-game schedule, so does Jackson State. I'll bet you, if you actually go take a look on Jackson State and Tennessee State schedule, go look in the month of September. They both have the same open date. So the fact that they couldn't even get a deal worked out, they could have played that game this season and still have a bye week in October for both schools. And they dropped the ball. You know, he dropped the ball on this. Greed is an issue, not wanting to pay. But I firmly believe there'll be another entity, another title sponsor to come in the fold and get this game back on schedule because it's a moneymaker for whoever wants to do it.
I think what's going to transpire and this is just me thinking, if this Vegas game goes the way people think it's going to go, because seeing that, I'm not going to lie to you, seeing that attendance for Honda Battle of the Bands, and I know,
60,000.
dog, I know people love the band, and that is just ridiculous to me how Bama's can put 50,000 to watch some bands. That's just crazy to me. Anyway, but 50,000 to come watch the Battle of the Bands in California. If Jackson and Grambling can do 30 to 40,000 for a football game in Vegas, man, there is going to be a big title sponsor to show up for that game. And FedEx, if FedEx doesn't bring more money to the table, there's going to be a bigger title sponsor to say, hey, listen, we want to partner with this game. We think it has all the, I mean, we know, we've seen the data, right? There's a 30-year, 35-year data plan that shows it is a very prosperous game. So I'm curious to see what it looks like going forward. And I think this is something that Jackson and Tennessee State should really take the bull by the horns, right? Eddie George, Ashley Robinson, if they can take the bull by the horns and really, if I'm being honest with you, so I can see this game being $1 million payout for both schools. It is that big. When you really talk about just all the festivities, I mean, I've been to 2 of them, and honestly, it's probably one of the best neutral site classics that I've been to. Real talk, like the Magic City Classic is not better than this. Like the Magic City Classic is bigger, but it's not better. And what I mean by that, the vibe at the Magic City Classic feels like HBCU. It feels like you're kicking it with your friends and your family. It's in a big family reunion type style, right? I think this game is better than the Bayou Classic. If I'm just being honest, I think this game is better than the Bayou Classic. It just has a better HBCU vibe to it with the tailgating and everything. I really, really enjoy this. The city really enjoys it. Everybody comes out for it. I really think it doesn't get a lot of like nobody really talks about it in high esteem, but to me, it's one of the best feeling classics that I've been a part of. I haven't been a part of the Florida Classic. I would like to see how that vibe is, but this game is definitely, to me, better than the Magic City Classic. To me, is better than the Bayou Classic. I'm not a fan of the Bayou Classic. It's very
well. I'll even tell you. So the buzz to the game, like I said, is it's the closest thing to the Red River rivalry, if you're familiar with it, Texas and Oklahoma. Though they play in Texas every year, they're equal distance, and they have a halfway meeting ground.
The Cotton Bowl, right?
The Cotton Bowl every year, but Norman, Oklahoma, and Austin, Texas, it's the same equal distance to Dallas. So it's the same thing with Tennessee State and Jackson State. Nashville being 3 hours from Memphis, Jackson being 3 hours from Memphis, and it also goes to how the rivalry started. Big John Merritt, who's the famous coach at Tennessee State, was the head coach at Jackson State, and he did something for the first time in HBCU ball. When he left, he took his OC and DC with him, the first coach to ever do that. And so, naturally, Jackson State fans were pissed, and that he did that because he let the team bear. And he also took his prize recruit, which was Eldridge Dickey, a.k.a. the Lord's Prayer, from Gulfport, Mississippi. And I'm going Joe Gilliam, who was the OC, had his prodigy son, Jefferson Street Joe. Jefferson Street is the street name that Tennessee State is on. So he took a bevy of recruits with him. And Big John, as you know, never had a losing season in Nashville. Tennessee State has the most draft picks of any HBCU. And again, you had all that in Jackson. And so that's where the rivalry actually, stemmed from. And so it was home and away. And we played them every year since he left. And again, it started in 91. But to your point, the game itself has been really, really, really good games. They're attended well. But I'll tell you this other caveat. They dropped the ball this year. Look at what Tennessee State is bringing back this upcoming season. Eddie George will be in his his fourth season. And
playoff run. Yeah.
They're gonna have a good team. You look at Jackson State, defending Black College national champions, got a hell of a team returning back. It's gonna be an amazing damn game. And again, the schedule was aligned for them to make that happen. They dropped the ball.
Yeah. And those are the matchups you want to see. Those are the matchups you want to see. You want to see top level programs playing at their highest level, playing against top level programs, right? Like you want to see the best of the best playing against each other to see what it really looks like. It's an out of conference game, so again, it's not going to affect anybody's main schedule. But again, it goes back to your super conference. If you had this game for a conference game, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's box office.
And to that point, Texas and Oklahoma are both in the SEC. They still going to have the Red River rivalry in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, a neutral site conference game.
It's going to be great. Well, I hope everything. Listen. I hope it gets resolved. I hope there's a way to, bring FedEx back, have FedEx bring in more money. Because somebody said FedEx is the big dog in Memphis. So,
FedEx and AutoZone.
Yeah. So if either one can make that happen and bring the right ducats to the table and make it happen, I think it's perfect. Listen, that's probably one classic like I will never not want to go to. My wife, I'm telling you, my wife loves the Southern Heritage Classic. She don't like nothing about Jackson State, but she loves the Southern Heritage Classic anytime. It's a great classic.
It is
a great classic, and if you haven't been, man, it's a great vibe. Shout out to the Mississippi boys who took care of me the last time that I was down there, man. And listen, you talking about tailgates? I ain't never seen so many RVs in my life, and they jokers be nice. They be nice. So, let me see. FedEx gave Memphis $25 million for NIL, $5 million a year for 5 years. They can give South Carolina Southern Heritage Classic more. They can. So here we go. All right, let's move on. Last thing. Make sure you get your registration for the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament. Partnerships with Alabama State men's and women's golf team. Registration for foursomes of $500. No, did it? Individual $150. Plays on Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. You can register at the TubmanGolf.org at the Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club, Hampton, Georgia. Beautiful golf course. Zoe said is absolutely beautiful. I haven't played it, but he says he played it, but he ain't got no golf clubs. That's I don't get it. But teach his own.
Hey, man, you can rent all day long.
Hey, man, if you play, man, you gotta get your own. Have your own stuff, man. Have your own stuff. Again, this is the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament, partnership with Alabama State men and women. First of all, if you an Alabama State alum, what are we talking about? You need to be in attendance. How far is
2 hours?
That's 2 hours.
It's just under 2 hours, Scotty.
Come on, man. It's no reason. Nobody wants to be in Montgomery anyway. Okay, nobody wants to be in Montgomery. Take your butt up to Hampton, GA. Play some golf. Support your schools. Support the Tubman Museum and the golf tournament. Again, it's in partnership with your institution. Come on now. Too easy. Now, last but not least, for the topic of the day, National Signing Day. But we talking needs. And listen, I see some A&T fans in here. Y'all need everything. Okay, you ain't got to worry about it. Everything on here, y'all need it. Okay, so y'all.
Tomorrow's Christmas now.
Everything. Okay, you need help, resuscitation. You need it all. All right, so don't even worry about it. Now, this is Zoe's needs for the SWAC East. Got it broken down by institutions. Zoe, it's on you.
Look, it kind of goes without saying, every team every year is going to need O linemen, but you'll see I list O linemen, but we're going to actually get into particular reasons why they need O linemen, right? So just kind of want to put that out there. Now, one thing you'll see coming among all the teams in the East, and actually all the teams in the SWAC for that matter, is going to be quarterback.
Jesus Christ.
Because Scotty, seriously, if you go back to last season, do you know how many starting quarterbacks were returning in the conference last year?
You had Andrew. You had.
But Andrew wouldn't count as a starting.
He was hurt.
He was hurt, so he didn't count, even though he had previous experience.
You had Miles. You had
quarterback at Valley.
Who is that?
I forget his name, but number 11. You had the quarterback at Valley. You had Miles Crawley. You had Jacobian, and then you had
Bethune-Cookman had the white boy, but he got hurt in last season, and he didn't.
They play so many different quarterbacks if you still want to count them.
Yeah.
But all in all, I was going to say we had 4 returning quarterbacks previous starters from the previous year. So that actually highlights, because if you actually go look at the scoring output of every team, you really only had about 4 teams that actually broke above getting 20 points a game last season in the SWAC.
That's sad.
Yeah, so that speaks to, again, offensive output. So naturally we can say lineman, but then quarterback play. And so again, and we've always stated the fact that, hey, the best quarterback play, at least steady quarterback play in the conference, has won the conference the past few years. So we're going to get to Alabama A&M. Look, you bring in Sam Shade. They're going to bring in a lot of pieces, obviously. And Alabama A&M had some nice pieces on defense, but you look at what they did. Again, they had the best offense in the conference by way of yardage per game. So they did some things, but again, what does that look like now? Jason Myers gone. Maynard is gone.
No, Myers there. Myers still there.
Oh, Myers still there?
Yeah, he's the quarterback coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Myers still there.
So now, again, they're going to need a quarterback, get an idea of what they're going to do on offense. They're going to need a quarterback, need receivers. They got the one freshman last year who put up good numbers.
Oh, I like it.
He's returning, but again, you're going to have some other stuff with that. You're right. Alabama A&M ran the ball. That was their bread and butter last year. But from a receiver standpoint, that one receiver stood out. They're going to need some other receivers, but the main thing is their hindrance, right, was on the defensive side of the ball. So again, D lineman, and nobody's going to object to the trenches, right? But they need to get better on the defensive backfield, because they gave up quite a bit of yardage, and they didn't really garner that many turnovers by way of interceptions last year. So those are the needs right now that stand out, obviously, that they're going to need for next year. When we mosey over to Alabama State, look, Andrew Body's coming back. I perceive he's still going to be back next season. But again, if he goes down, Scotty, remember what happened last year. The backup quarterback ended up walking away from football, ended up having a wide receiver playing quarterback. So again, even if you have Andrew Body coming back, you still need to go ahead and get another signal caller or 2. You don't want to go have a repeat of last year, right? Then also you look at receivers. Need to add some depth there. But the other thing is going to be O-line. They have what they have on defense. Now, granted, they lost the defensive coordinator, lost a few pieces, but man, you know what? Under Coach Robinson, and actually even prior to, Alabama State has quietly been finding some gems in what they want to do on defense.
Absolutely.
So again, I pretty much am staying on the offensive side of the ball there, because you know what? Even if I say what they need, they know what they want to do on defense from a talent standpoint. They know, where their bread is buttered. So they're doing pretty good there. So we don't really have to worry about that. But every facet of offense, they need to get better on, because under Eddie Robb, they've been formidable on defense, but offense, they struggled. You know what I'm saying? They've got some pieces, but they've sucked on offense for the most part. If they correct it, then that gives people more of a good feeling about the success and what they could possibly do.
Hold on real quick, Zoe. Alabama's Ace, put his name in the chat, because again, I have not seen a commit, right? Like I don't know what it is. I hate this about HBCU stuff, bro. Like if you're not in the know, like there is no publication of who has committed where and all that type of stuff, because I can't do my transfer rankings or my transfer reviews because I ain't never seen nobody.
You gotta wait this on a day.
God, dog, man. You know what I'm saying? So Make sure you send that in to me, or put the name in the chat, and I'll write it down and make sure I get to it. Go ahead, keep going.
But hey, to his point, they got a transfer of quarterback from Jacksonville State. Damn it, they need another one too. And I'm not being funny, because again, you lost body and your backup. You got all the way down to a receiver playing quarterback. So you don't just level on one. Look, Jackson State got 2 quarterbacks in this cycle. They got a transfer from Florida Atlantic, and they got the kid coming in from Charlotte. So again, you don't just need one. You're gonna need 2.
Yeah.
All right. Now which makes me segue over to quarterback. Yes, Jackson State need a quarterback. Again, Jacoby Morgan is going to his graduate senior year, last year of eligibility, and you lose Zai to the transfer portal. You had 2 capable backups in Stofa and Ethan Terrell coming in. Both are redshirt freshmen. But again, you bring in the transfer from Florida Atlantic for some experience, right? Another upperclassman, but then you also have the freshman coming in, O-lineman. And Jackson State has a lot of youth. They have good O-linemen. You have 3 freshmen that played quite a bit last year, but again, you still want to always bring in steady O-linemen. Knowing that Jackson State wants to run the ball as much as they do, you want to have a capable pair of O-linemen to come in with every class, and D-linemen. You bring Jeremiah Williams back, but again, you lose Josh Noble, and you lose another rush in. So you always want to bring in some good pass rushers on defense with Jackson State. And again, linebacker play stepped up quite a bit. Austin and Reed filled in admirably for Jackson State. But again, you need depth behind that, because again, football is a game of attrition, and you don't want to have any fall off. So you want to maintain what they did from a defensive standpoint, because again, if Alabama State were to drop off in any shape of way in regards to defense, Jackson State want to take that next step to have the number 1 defense in the conference if having the chance to do so. Now, when we get over to FAMU, FAMU's going to live in the portal, and we already know this. Again, they brought in Richardson, who actually had a damn good year last year by way of the portal. But again, he's out of eligibility, so you got to bring in another quarterback, obviously. And like Alabama State, you probably want to bring up 2. I'm unfamiliar if Maritovich has another year of eligibility, but knowing FAMU the way that I do and what they've shown, he probably won't get on the field. They're going to bring in a transfer to over him anyway.
They got a kid from Central Michigan that they brought in. I don't know if they have another guy, but I know they brought in a kid from Central Michigan. Yeah.
Okay, and so again, you then to focus in on some more running backs, but FAMU issue, and we learned it from the first game of last year, was they were weak up the middle. So definitely D-line, and then again, the second level of the defense with linebacker play. When we get in the Valley, I kind of want to be like Scotty when it comes to A&T. Damn it, they need everything. we can't put everything on the graphic, right? So, but I'm going to say this: Valley had the absolute worst defense and worst offense in the conference. But again, like everything else, they need a quarterback, because like the NFL, if they could get a good young quarterback that they're sure of, you can build with. Because if you can guarantee yourself 2 to 3 years and you're solidified at the position, then you've set yourself up for some form of success, right? They need that in O-line. Now, I'll say this: last year, Valley's O-line was actually pretty good in pass pro. They didn't give up a lot of sacks. They were actually okay in pass pro, but man, which is a kind of reverse stat, they were horrible in run blocking, because Valley's yard per game rushing the ball was putrid at best. So again, definitely quarterback, definitely want to solidify the O-line. D-lineman, because they gave up the worst run. They had the worst run defense in the conference. And just like Alabama, just like FAMU, if you could solidify those front 2 levels of defense, that'll actually help them out. And then we'll get over to Bethune-Cookman. Again, you're talking about quarterback. If they could solidify themselves and get just one guy they could focus on. I know the guy that was hurt, I forget his name, the white quarterback that they actually had, who was hurt the prior year. He played the bulk of the year last year. Had a damn good game against Jackson State. Well, at least a damn good first half. I'm not sure if he's out of eligibility, but even if so, they need another quarterback there. Everybody in the SWAC does, for the most part, to be honest.
That's fact.
We need better quarterback play within the conference. But for Bethune-Cookman, they have some athletes on that team, but definitely want to show up the middle of the defense. Definitely want to get better on the O-line, and they need to get better on the defensive backfield. They were at the bottom of the conference in pass defense with regards to deflections and getting interceptions as well.
Okay, so just touching over everything.
Sure.
FAMU, that D-line situation has got to get fixed.
Yes.
Now I don't know what they're going to do with the new. They got to find a defensive coordinator and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother thing in itself. Alabama State, they had receivers, but you just couldn't really see them because of the quarterback issues. They had a lot of speed at the receiver position. But the one I'm curious about is I want to see what that Alabama A&M offense now looks like, right? Because defensively, we know I think Sam Shade is going to come in like Eddie Robinson, right? You know what we're going to do on defense. This is what we're going to be. This is how we're going to do it. Offensively, what is that going to look like? Because having 20 points per game in D2 and trying to take that up to, to the SWAC, I don't think that's going to be in your best benefit. You're going to have to be in that 24, 28 range to really be impactful. And then again, if your defense comes to play, then, scoring 24 points, it will be enough and things like that. But listen, Bethune-Cookman needs a whole new football program. Okay, like just get rid of Little Bill. I keep trying to tell y'all that. I don't know why y'all got Little Bill anyway. Just get rid of Little Bill and then go from there. Okay, get Teddy Bridgewater, get the Bama from UAB, the defensive coordinator. I mean, the former defensive coordinator at Alabama State. Have him go down to Bethune. He's a former Bethune grad. Just anything but Little Bill. Okay, let's get to the SWAC West.
And then before you do that, I want to tell you, Bethune-Cookman just got the OC just left. So they actually bring in another OC too.
Get rid of the old school. Go ahead.
Look, we go over here to the West. Alcorn. Look, surprisingly, I'm in the minority of how some people view Alcorn. Alcorn were actually, you look at everything they did stat-wise within the conference on defense, they were top 5 in every category, right? But again, it's how bad they were on offense. Again, they threw for 7 touchdowns all last season.
That's crazy.
7 touchdowns, and yet they still finished with a 5-3 conference record. So again,
the conference is. I'm sorry.
So naturally, what does that tell you? That screams what? Quarterback.
Yeah.
We got to upgrade that quarterback. Now, granted, the quarterback they had is more of an athlete, and yes, he can run the ball, but again, they were so one-dimensional. They need to get a quarterback. I know they brought in the transfer from Howard and looking at some other pieces, but they need to bring in, quarterback, an established guy who can at least manage the game. Obviously, they want to run the ball, but again, even if you're going to have the type of offense guy that if you're going to focus on the run and maintain the run, you're going to be called on to make some passes that you got to guarantee to get on third down. So they're going to have really, really good quarterback play. Get quarterback and obviously wide receivers. Granted, I know we may say the same thing for them that we said with regards to Alabama State, right? Because the quarterback play was so putrid, we really didn't get a chance to see what the wide receiver were like. But in Alcorn's side, they dropped a lot of balls last year.
Yeah, I think the only real talent that I saw at the wide receiver was Macon moving from quarterback to receiver. I think that was a great. I think that was a great move for him. I think he's super explosive. I think he's as a receiver. I think he's a G5 player, right? Like he's really that nice with it. So hopefully they can get him healthy and he come back and do what he do, and they add to that position, because if you got him leading the charge and then get some other guys behind him, you should be pretty good.
Well, actually, to add to that point, I think with him, if they, like you said, add another receiver, which they hit the JUCO ranks pretty good, but if the Alcorn, the way that they want to run the ball, if they solidify themselves with a good tight end with another wide receiver, they're in the mix.
And
but also with that,
they had one. Didn't they have an all SWAC tight end coming in?
I can't recall if they did or if they did.
It was he was either second team or first team preseason all SWAC. I think it was like the Thelonious Griffin or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But go ahead. Somebody from all put in.
But yeah, and also with that, solidify. They had one or two guys hit the portal, I believe, on their own line. I know Cam Richardson did. I think they had another guy hit the portal. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But again, solidify that O-line with the way that they want to run the ball. And if they get into the quarterback, you want to protect them. So again, O-line and definitely D-line. I put D-line there for them. They were actually decent there. But being that they lost Malachi Bailey, who's one of the better, defensive linemen in the SWAC, you got to replace them. So that was the other thing.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to say this. I know Zoe's saying, Zoe's the nice one, right? I know what Zoe's saying. O-line, you need a new offensive coordinator. Right? I'm keeping it a buck, or I won't even say that, because I do think that there is certain things that he did that was I did like, but I don't think he used the players to their ability as best as he could. Now this is year 2. He has more time. He has to get this thing right, get this thing rolling. And then on the flip side of that is Cedric can't have another defensive year that he had again this year. You cannot get 50. What y'all put on them? 45, 50?
Close to half 100.
Dog, you can't get 50 put on you by your rival and you're a defensive head coach. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? That's like Mike Tomlin getting 60 put on him, and he's the defensive coordinator, like pseudo defensive coordinator, right? Like, you're a defensive guy. And that's my issue with Alcorn. Defense can't be your problem. If offense is your problem, understandable, right? You're not an offensive guy. You got to go find you one. But defense was not good. It just was not. And that, to me, that's my sticking point with him. And no matter what you want to say about McNair, I don't see McNair getting beat 50 by Jackson at home. I just don't see that. It just don't make sense to me. So y'all can say whatever you want about McNair and what he did and what he ain't. 50 at home? That's crazy. Now he does have them one-off games where, like Texas Southern put an ass whooping on him, but I just couldn't see it. But go ahead, Joe.
Well, here's the thing, and I really can't disagree with your point, but here's the thing where I put a little nugget or at least a bullet point to highlight what you're saying, right? Still was what? Cedric's first year, OC's first year at a new school. So the thing is, I'll be more inclined, not trying to be nice, I'll be more inclined to, after this season, see what that looks like.
No, Zo, I can't give you that with Cedric. I can give you that with the OC, but Cedric was the defensive coordinator last year. And
but first year's head coach, though, it's the difference between being the DC. I'm not knocking what the defense did. I can't argue that point, but I'm speaking to the overall fact of the team, right, and what they did. So what I'm saying is, I think I give more credence to how they look this year in the second year, right? Because look, we all know you make your best asset, your best trend from year 1 to year 2, right? Especially with the OC. So again, if they're 6 and down within 7 and down in the conference this year offensively, then that tells you all you need to know. I mean, it does, because again, you had that first year. You see what it looked like. I mean, at that point, you guys see what they're gonna do this year.
We'll see. Yeah, we gonna see. All right, we gonna see.
So I mean, and that's why I stay. I don't ever hang them out the drive for that 1 year, especially with the first time head coach, first time OC too. So, and again, they were putrid at quarterback, so you kind of limited in what they could do. But man, look, you get into Graham, and again, Grambling, you get into Grambling. It's quarterback play. Now
it's offensive coordinator play. That is
it's OC.
Jesus.
But now we're talking about needs. You got a brand new OC. The crazy thing about them is, how often do you have an offensive player of the year and he ended up not being, outside of injury, not being the best statistical quarterback in the conference?
When you pair him with Eric Dooley.
That is a very rare thing that you actually see. So again, it's what Graham is going to look like. But so have they got OC in yet?
I've heard they have a pick, but I haven't heard officially what his name is. It's supposed to be a white man though.
Okay, so again, definitely going to need a quarterback. You have the SWAC preseason offensive player of the year. He's run out of time of eligibility to play. So again, what does that look like? You know what they actually brought in T-Set. I happen to like the kid. I think he's a pretty good talent. And then I know that they bring up Ty Keys, the transfer out of Southern Miss, a tall kid. So again, it's going to be like, what exactly are they planning to do with them? So they got those two quarterbacks in. They're going to need some receivers. I think they had two guys get in the portal. They had one decent receiver, but they don't have. Grambling normally has multiple guys, the receivers, like talented guys there. They didn't have anything that really jumped out at you last year. And I put defensive end naturally because they lost Andrew Jones.
They had the short fast guy, number 8. I can't remember his name right now. He was nasty, but go ahead.
And so naturally I put defensive end because you're going to have to replace Andrew Jones. I mean, he had a monster year last year on that defense. And again, they're going to need some in regards to DBs. They look pretty good against us, you know what I'm saying, when we played, but they're going to have to show up their secondary because they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they lost 2 guys. I think one safety and one cornerback. But Grambling, the main thing, like you stated, is going to be OC. What is it going to look like and what they're going to do on offense. We'll get down to Prairie View. Man, I'm telling you, I'm excited. I can't wait until tomorrow. Cannot wait till tomorrow to obviously what Jack State's going to do, but I'm really interested to see what Prairie View is going to do.
Yeah.
Prairie View and Valley, believe it or not. I'm really interested in what Prairie View is going to do, man. I love the hire of their head coach. I like the way he's talking. I like the vision he's setting up, what he wants to do. I do know he's going to run a pass happy offense. He pretty much said as much. So obviously, if you're going to throw the ball a lot, you're going to have the quarterback in. Look at this, who they're going to bring in at quarterback. Looking at what they're going to do at running back. But naturally, you're going to throw the ball. You're going to have to focus on the O-line because you're going to have to protect them. But from that, they actually just jump into D-line. I think they're actually good in Texas. The state as a whole, they breed linebackers as it is. And even when Prairie View was sorry, they would still actually have some pretty good guys at linebacker. And they will always have like 1 to 2 decent cornerback or a good combo of a safety and a cornerback, you know what I'm saying, on that team. So I don't see that stopping actually now. And he pretty much put it out there. He's like, look, I'm telling you now, we're going gung-ho in the portal. We want preferably guys from Houston in the portal to get here. So he's putting it out there. He's advertising it. So looking to see them actually get that. I think if they actually hit on what they want in those positions, I think Prairie View is actually going to be all right within the West in that first year. We mosey on down to Southern. Listen, I know they still have the freshman that missed the SWAC championship game, and the kid's pretty good out of Marietta, but they're going to have to get something else at quarterback. I got a feeling that what we saw from Southern last year, Scotty, I think Terrence Gray probably wants to do something different on offense. Like, I get that feeling because they switched their offense up quite a bit throughout the year last year, like sets and what they want to do. Because if you actually watch them in a Jack State game, which it was the third game of the season, and how they looked in the game before they played us in the SWAC championship game to what they did in the SWAC championship game, it's like it was a different team every week. So it's kind of, we're going to get a feel of what they want to do on offense. But I still say, man, they need a quarterback. Definitely to show up the O-line because, man, we were at rush out through them in the SWAC championship game on the O-line. Definitely need some wide receivers and D-line play. We'll go over to Texas Southern. This is a question mark. I put these because, again, everybody in the SWAC needs a damn quarterback. But this team is a question mark for me. I like Chris Dishman as a head coach. At least I like what he stands on. And but they're a puzzle. They're a huge question mark in regards to it's the second year. I want to give them some grace because, man, they won 5 games last year, quiet as it's kept, in year 1.
And they should have beat Lamar. They should have beat Southern. So they should have been they should have been a 7-win team, if we're being honest.
And he did this. I know Jace got hurt, and Jace will actually play it okay.
No. It was Cooper. Cooper. He got hurt, and then it took him a while to get to Jace, and then he finally went to Jace. Yeah.
So they're a question mark, but if he maintains what he has, if he's able to, like I said, get another quarterback, get receivers, because they're going to throw the ball quite a bit as well. But O-line, and they need better linebacker play. I put there solely after watching us play, because when we played, man, if you look, Jacobian had like an 80-yard touchdown run against them. Right up the middle of the teeth of the defense. And so, again, I just feel like for Texas Southern, they got to show up the second level of their defense. They were okay. They were on the bottom half statistically on against the run and on pass rush, but they weren't at the bottom. Excuse me, like Bethune-Cookman and Valley was. So, again, they were okay. I know they're going to recruit some D linemen, but they got to show up the second level of that defense. So they do that, they'll be okay.
I think it's the flip side. I think when you run that 3-3-5, you got to have some big boys in the middle especially if you're going against a team like Jackson that wants to run the ball the way they want to run. You gotta stuff the middle. You just can't have old linemen getting to your
second level.
Your second level. They're getting to their tweener backers because their backers are actually really, really good. But it's the D line play for me. Like, your D line has to be better if you're going to run that 3-3-5 or if you're going to do that 4-2-5, whatever they were trying to run against you guys.
Hybrid.
It just has to look a certain type of way. And you can't do it when you got a guy in the middle at like 305 or 280. It just don't work like that. So if that's the style you want to play, then you gotta get the pieces in place. For me, when it comes to Texas Southern, I think Texas Southern, I think Texas Southern is like right there. Like it's and what I mean by right there, it just being competitive every single game. That's what I mean by right there. Just being like they're not going to be an easy out. If KJ Cooper can stay healthy, and that's the kicker, and that's why I agree with you. They need a backup quarterback that can go and kind of step in if KJ Cooper goes down. But finding a running back in Texas ain't hard. Finding receivers in Texas ain't hard.
It ain't.
It's not. But it's putting it all together to make it work. And I think KJ Cooper, if he's the guy going forward, I think they do have a chance to be competitive in all their games. I would still put Prairie View in front of them. I would still put Southern to an extent in front of them. But Texas Southern could have been a 7-win team last year easily, very much so easily. So I'm curious to see what it looked like. I'm curious to see what it looks like going forward.
And then last we got the lowly Pine Bluff Golden Lions. And again, like Valley, they need everything. It's I think they're in a worse space than Valley right now, to be honest. I really, really do. Being that Alonzo Hampton is going to his third year, and you hadn't seen really any progression. And now you're talking about losing, you know what I'm saying, one of the best talents in the conference at quarterback in Higgins, right? And then you lose Giovanni Gibson, who was the best receiver in the conference last season. And they lost some other players as well. It almost feels like it's a complete rebuild in the third year tenure of a coach, and that's not a good feeling. Valley's going to year one of Terrell Buckley. So again, Pine Bluff is basically everything, a complete haul. But obviously off the rip, man, you're gonna need a QB. I said again, both sides of the ball, O-line and D-line. Put DB because they had the absolute worst pass defense in the conference last year. For as well as they threw the ball, they were just as worse giving up the passing yards that they got on offense, which is crazy. As good as they were passing the ball, they were even worse pass defense last season. So they need everything.
Yeah, listen. They need everything, and what I mean by everything, I mean a new coach. If anybody should have been hiring Deshaun Jackson, should have been UAPB.
Yeah.
I mean,
Delaware, California too.
Dog, Delaware State is literally they're one and the same. They're literally one and the same. Yeah. And if you have an opportunity to go, like UAPB is the definition of we got to go get a guy to make us relevant. We just got to. I don't know what that looks like for them. I don't know who that could be. Who should have been asking this? LaShawn McCoy should have been like, hey, UAPB. If you need a guy, that's who you should have been talking to. Because they need a guy. They're gonna have to get an influential type of guy. They can go get a if they can go get a Hines Ward, you know what I'm saying? If they can go get a Hines Ward, if they can go get a real guy that can really put some buzz and excitement into that program. Because again, and Perry talks about it all the time, they have good facilities.
They do.
Stadium. They said the field's amazing, the stadium's amazing, the facility. They say it's just in the middle of nowhere.
They do. I think I told you before. Like I like their stadium. I do. The field is good. I like the stadium. It's very manicured. I think it holds like 19,000. The stadium's bigger than Delaware State Stadium. It looks way better. They have a great field house. And they're willing to do some investing into it. Again, it won't be the biggest, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
They have better attendance than Valley and Delaware State. And they've been competitive before. And they've had players drafted. I mean, if we go back just the past 10 years, they've had I forgot the old lineman that got drafted to the Saints, but they've had players, even when they were sorry, they had Dante Wesley got drafted a DB to Chicago Bears. They've had players drafted. They've had some success. They won a SWAC in 2012 against us, but they've had some success. Yeah. They've had an Offensive Player of the Year. There's talent that comes through Arkansas that slipped through the cracks and have made its way to Pine Bluff. So again, when you talk about being in a better situation than what they are, they could be. I don't see them firing old boy after this year just because it is Pine Bluff. They don't necessarily move like that, Scotty. But man, to be in year 3 and you're talking about a whole complete rebuild, that ain't good.
It's not. It's not. And it's Teron Armstead. There you go. Shout out to Anthony. Yeah. But it's it never feels like they get any traction. And what's tough is the transfer portal is not going to make it any easier, right? Because anybody that is decent at UAPB is going to want to leave because you're not competitive. You're just not. I mean, well, you're not a contender, right? So it's like we could win 4 games and I be a first team all SWAC. Well, if NCCU comes calling, if FAMU comes calling, if Southern or Grambling, I'm gone. Because I'm in a better situation, right? If a G5 come calling, I'm gone because I'm in a better situation. So again, it takes a guy with a name, not to say to keep the players, because some players are just going to leave. It's to keep bringing the players in. That's the part. It's like I can still keep bringing talent in here and getting guys in here to keep making my team relevant and keep making them, talent rich of a program. And I know this is off track, but listen, I think that white man at UAPB baseball, I think he's gonna turn them around. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm actually really excited to see UAPB baseball because a lot of people have just been low. Like they're like, hey, watch out for this dude. Like he can really coach it up. He's a big guy in Dallas with his baseball travel league and his facilities and stuff like that. Like that's just what he does. And to see UAPB make that splash as a baseball, I'm curious to see what they're going to do on the football side when Hampton's time is over, of what that next head coach is going to look like. Because to me, you got to go get a guy. You got to go pull that trigger and go get a guy.
And look, they have a nice baseball facility too. Torrey Hunter, funded, and so I know he's going to actually continue to give to the program. So, and the head coach is a millionaire as well, so he may invest some of his own funds into it. But I wanted to ask you, not ask you, but you bring up a damn good point, man. I think it hits different and it looks different if you're talking about Deshaun Jackson in the SWAC. And let's say he is at Pine Bluff, I think it's a damn good look. I really, really do. I really, really do. And again, it's a far shorter drive. It's a far shorter distance. It's a 3-hour flight to California. 3.5-hour flight to California from it's a 4-hour flight from Jackson. So,
but it goes back to who you know, right? That relationship and connection only happens because the AD, the new AD that got replaced, the woman. He knew people that were close to Deshaun and was just like, hey, you want to coach? Right. So it's having those connections and having those avenues to get these type of guys, it matters.
See, that old quote comes up. You have not because you ask not.
You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations that where, and again, to me, he was already looking that way though. Right, like he got in the position. He was already looking. He already knew what direction he wanted to go in. He wanted to go. That's why you interviewed Chris Carter. That's why you interviewed Deshaun Jackson. Right, like if you're an AD, you gotta decide. I want to go in this direction. So to me, if I'm the AD at UAPB, I'm making the calls now. Hampton's not about to change this program tomorrow. I'm making the calls now to say, hey, when this job comes available, because it will. What does it look like? What do I need to pay you? What are you trying to have? What are you trying to get? Where do you want to go? Right? It's that type of conversations that need to be had. I don't think Hines Ward takes that job, but it's, I heard that Trent Richardson was interested in one of the D2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
here's the approach that I think the problem with a lot of ADs on this in this landscape have, right? Like you mentioned Hines Ward, and you say, naturally, man, Hines Ward would want the job. You know what? Maybe he don't, but he's going to have to tell me no. You see what I'm saying? That's the approach you got to take. It's almost like, look, I hate to say this. I think a lot of these guys that are ADs, it's like they never lived in that land where you had to go out somewhere when you're younger and just like go holler at chicks. You know what I'm saying? Like you just go out there and holler at them, right?
Ashley did. Ashley did.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to have that mindset like, she's going to have to tell me no. Nothing from nothing, leave nothing.
Yeah.
So guess what? I can guarantee myself a no if I don't ask. So yeah, Hines Ward may tell me no, but guess what?
You better tell me no.
He better tell me no. But here's the thing: he might tell me yeah. He may say, I might consider that. Look at Eddie George, Tennessee State. He wasn't thinking about coaching, at all. They asked him, he was like, no. He said no. Went home, pondered on it. Man, talked to his wife about it. I might get it some. And now look at Tennessee State. So again, it's just like, man, put it out there. Target someone and say, hey, Ashley even said it. It's true. When I'm going to the space, the moment I think of anything, I got a list of possible 5 people that I want to reach out to that's interested, I think is interested for a job that I want to contact. You always should have a top 5 for every sport that you have. So to your point, even somebody that nobody's thinking about. Hey man, you know what? I think just off the rip, I'm gonna take Ray Lewis off the example.
Marshall
Let's just say, I know we talked about Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, but we could take any type of lightning rod where we could just sit there and say, hey man, this guy could be like, I'm gonna use Arkansas Pine Bluff. What if you got a former player that's from the state of Arkansas? You know what I'm saying? And oh, you know what? Damn, might sound crazy, but not right now. But let's just say it's 4 years ago. Darren McFadden, you coaching now? What about reaching out to Darren McFadden?
Yeah.
Or Felix Jones?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, Darren McFadden get hired at Pine Bluff, that will make waves in the state of Arkansas. It really, really would.
Yeah.
What if he's coaching high school ball right now? What if he's coaching on the Cleveland? I don't know. I'm just giving an example. Darren McFadden was a Heisman contender in the state of Arkansas. It just makes sense. But then also, if you want to reach out to, some other player, whatever the case may be, why not do it?
Listen, at the end of the day, if I'm Arkansas Pine Bluff, I don't give a damn what Ed Reed does at that high school. You can come up here, okay? You can come up here and do all the antics you want, okay? Because again, and I keep telling y'all, it's really not about the wins. They're gonna come and go. Listen, you can go 3-69 with Hampton, or you can go 3-69 with Ed Reed, and I'll take 3-69 with Ed Reed because at least there's some excitement in like, hey, UAPB might get some excitement. You're going to at least tune into the game to see what Ed Reed doing. Nobody cares what Hampton is doing. Nobody other than Hampton and his mama and his family. And UAPB alums, we're saying a lot of them anyway. You know what I'm saying? So Perry from Pine Bluff didn't even go there. Didn't even finish. You know what I'm saying? So that just lets you know how people trying to get up out of there. So again, UAPB is a blank canvas that what do you say, Lord, have your way. Let thy will be done, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Let thy will be done, Lord. Because clearly, UAPB ain't done nothing right since that last 2012. And who was the coach then?
And I'll say this too. It's not about saying that every hire that opens, you have to look at a former name that played in the NFL. No, you don't have to. But what I would suggest, though, is that have a plan in place for the hire, not just because every win isn't the same. But what can we do to change the course for this program, even from an optic standpoint, right? What kind of buzz can I generate with this hire?
Yeah.
You have to have that in mind. Because I'm trying to generate something out of nothing. When you're talking about us like Valley, I think Valley, they hit a home run with Terrell Buckley. They really, really did.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to generate something, generate some type of buzz out of thin air. You can't do that with just a guy that just kept his head down and worked and, you win games. Yeah, you want to end up winning, but you got to do something. Hey, I freaking love it. Hey, hold on. Let me tell you something. Jameis Winston would be the head coach at Alabama State, would do wonders. I really, really think so. He's from LA, Lower Alabama. Jameis Winston, you talk about buzz, and guess what? He's going to talk. He's going to
he's gonna sell
the program.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he'll sell the program.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. No, come on. Dude, listen, I don't give a damn who y'all bring in. I don't. Y'all gonna get y'all ass whooped. Y'all gonna get y'all ass whooped. Like, what you talking about? Oh, I can't wait till those guys see these recruits that we brought in. Okay.
I tell you what, I am was kind of on it, but I'm loving the quarterback Jack State got. Damn good pickup.
Talking about Jared?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I saw the tape. I'm not a fan. Okay. So you do. I know you do your research, and I did my research, right? So for me, he went up in class And I didn't see the same. Now, he only played 4 games from what I was looking at Max Preps. He only played 4 games in this last season. I don't know if he got hurt or whatever. But what he did at Porter Ridge, I didn't see that same style of play at Miles Park, even though he went up in the class. And I reached out to Josh and I asked Josh, I said, Josh, what school is better? Like, he said Miles Park. I didn't see that same explosiveness and that Cam Newton, as everybody will call him. I didn't see that in the Myers Park. Now, you watch the Porter Ridge, you're like, oh shoot, this kid is crazy. But I didn't see that at Myers Park when he played against better competition. And then he went against the number 7 team. He was ranked 25. He played number 7, and I think it was Hudson. I think that's what they're called. But and he laid an egg. And for me, when I'm looking for kids that that are like, I want to see you step up. Like I know your team probably wasn't good enough, but I want to see you take your game to another level. And I didn't see that when he played against Hudson. But what do you see from him?
Well, I don't. Let me clear the air too. I don't see Cam Newton when I see him, even in the previous year's video. I see what we see from the Cam Newton. I'm using quotations is he has the same gait as Cam Newton. Meaning to me, like he runs like Cam Newton. I don't see Cam Newton the player when I see him. Cam was an anomaly when he played, at Westlake High School and when he got to JUCO. But I love the kid. I love his stature. I love what he presents. And the thing is, I love the tool bag. That's what I'm impressed with when I see this kid. It's the tools that he has. He has a cannon. He has now I've only seen throws down the seam, see some go routes, and I've seen a couple of slants. I really want to see up close in person what all he can do within the passing game, just to see what that looks like. But I like the tool bag that he has. That's what has me excited.
I feel like he's Jacobian Morgan 2.0.
I feel like he's a more athletic Jacobian.
Yeah, and I think Jacobian is a better passer than Jared. I think he's more refined at where when he went to Syracuse, I think he was more refined than what Jared is coming into you guys right here, right now. I can see that. I think Jacobian is more refined. But I was talking to Jay in the chat because he's the one that brought him to me. He was like, hey, what do you think about him? I think for what you guys run, he's perfect, right? Like I'm not going to ask you to do a lot. And for me, my eyes are always skewed because I want a quarterback. I don't want a glorified running back playing quarterback. That's not. I want a Akil Glass. I want a gunslinger. Like that's the type of guys that I like. Because if you don't play quarterback, you better throw it. Like if you don't play point guard, pass it, right? So it's like that's how I feel. That's how I look at quarterbacks. And for him, he just, to me, when I watch the tape on him, he reminds me of Jacobian Morgan. And a lot of the passes that I see that are down the seam, he didn't make a lot of like tight throws. Like a lot of times he bombed it. The guy's running 5 yards away from the dude. I'm like, okay, that wasn't very difficult, right? Like you don't see a lot of placement balls, no Diddy, that he's played. You don't see him place the ball very well in certain coverages. And the game that you're talking about, Jay, he played against Independence. That's when Independence, the yellow team, was up 24 and they came back at 21. But a lot of that wasn't from him. It was from the running game. And that's why I think he's a perfect fit for what Jackson likes to do, because he came from a team that ran the ball very heavily. And that's where they got most of their production from. So I think he's a great fit for what Jackson, they're not going to ask him to do a lot. Play action, make the throws, make the reads, and make it easy for him. And I'll say this. I don't think the coaches at Myers Park did a great job calling the game for his skill set. I will say that as well.
Well, and that's why I go back to saying I like the thing is, we talk about tight windows too. You won't see on the high school level a shit ton of that, right? You know what I'm saying? If you really look at most quarterbacks film in high school, you're gonna have a lot of go routes, a lot of deep throws down the seam. Like only a handful in each state. You're gonna have a handful in each state, I would like to say, when you got elite quarterback play, when guys are really, really throwing the tight windows. You actually see a lot of it in California, right? And some in Texas, but it's a small window. It's a small number. But the thing about this kid, it's the tools he got to work with. To your point, could I see that being elevated possibly? Yes. That's why I say, yeah, I see a better version of Jacobian. I think he has, and I've seen it up close. I like how you said more of a refined passer, Jacobian is right now, but he has a much bigger arm than Jacobian. If you look over this past season, Jacobian has a big arm, but he's short on a lot of throws for Tillian. A lot of deep balls with short arm. I'm sorry, but this kid has a bigger arm, and even more so a bigger arm on the run. And that's what I like to see. I just think the tools. I like the tool bag he got to work with. It's up to TC and Rip to work with those tool bags to polish it and get him more refined, if possible, than what Jacobian is.
I'll say this: if you get the Porter Ridge version of Jarrett, that's scary because that version was scary. The Myers Park version was just like, yeah. Like if he would have gave you 2 years of what he did at Porter Ridge, he's probably a 4-star guy. You know what I'm saying? Like easily a 4-star guy. Myers Park, he's like a 2-star, maybe a 3-star guy just off that tape alone, off the 4 games that I saw and stuff like that. So it is what it is. And you know me, I like to go watch the game. So I'm just like, I'm watching the game and I'm like, I'm not. But what I will say before we go, I like his moxie. He doesn't because that black team was whooping his ass, and he just, you know how like sometimes you just be like he just, I felt for him. I'm like, damn, he say hike, and there's a kid like literally right in his face, but he just kept getting up. He just kept getting up, kept stepping up. You know, he didn't get too jittery in the pocket. You know, he moved when he had to. He wasn't seeing ghosts and stuff like that. So he's a tough kid. And I like that moxie about him like that. He's a really tough kid. And I think that you can't coach that at quarterback. So some kids are just scary. Some kids like, no, hey, I'm a quarterback. I'm going to get hit, but this is what I do. So, and he has that type of moxie, and I did like that about him. I still haven't watched Woods. Jalen, I haven't watched him. I gotta go back and watch some of his film. I haven't really watched him that well.
He good. I actually saw him in high school. My best friend's son actually is the starting running back at Marietta High School this year. He played JV last year, and that's where he came from, Marietta High.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, saw him. He's actually pretty good.
How do you look at high school?
What I'm saying, he looked damn good in high school. Marietta is not an actual winning program. I don't know if you remember Arik Gilbert that actually signed with Georgia. Tight end, number 1 tight end in the country.
No,
ended up having a problem going to LSU. You had him. You had Harrison. What's guy Harrison last name? Ended up starting at Tennessee. Ended up leaving Tennessee, going someplace else. That team was loaded. It was their first state championship. That was about 3 years ago. But it's not a winning program. Marietta High School is. You typically would have where my guy from Georgia. Quarterback with the Steelers right now. Justin
Fields.
Justin Fields played at Harrison High School, which is in Marietta as well. Was in Kennesaw, right there near it. Those other schools in the area have more of a football pedigree than Marietta does, but he had a good high school career. I think he would have actually been recruited better if he was taller as well. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing that kind of hindered him, but he got an arm, man. He could play. Yeah, I just said they won a state championship a couple years ago.
He just definitely just said that.
That was their first state championship when they had Arik Gilbert and Harrison Wilson, I think his name was. They were loaded that year though. But Marietta is not a
traditional.
No, not at all.
Gotcha. All right. Man, listen, guys, again, if you are around the surrounding areas and you taking a trip Cinco de Mayo to Georgia, make sure you stop by the Tubman Museum Golf Tournament partnerships with Alabama State men and women's golf. Registration for foursomes, $500. No diddy. All right, individual $150. Get your tickets today at the www.tubmangolf.org. Listen, get your clubs, get your peoples. Go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and shoot out there, man. It's gonna have to be a fun event for Cinco de Mayo on Monday. Is that a holiday? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's a holiday, but people get that day off because I know some people go to work.
Nah, people call out though.
Listen, I be at
People
Chipotle.
call out though.
I be at Chipotle on Cinco de Mayo. Them free burritos, you can't beat that. Can't beat it. All right, can't beat it. So make sure you go again. Register at Tubman Man Golf, TUBMANGOF.org. All right, Tubman Golf. Again, Tubman Museum Golf Tournament partnership with Alabama State Men and Women's Golf Tournament. Man, I can't wait to see that. Shoot, I might come on down and get,
Swing got a miss.
What, boy? I'll be out there. Look, I'll be Tiger Woods in that joker. I'm really like Phil Mickelson because I'm a lefty. You know what I'm saying? So
No, wait a minute. You left-handed too.
I'm left-handed. So it's crazy. So I'm ambidextrous, right? So I write right-handed, but I bat and I golf left-handed. So that's just
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm a lefty, man. So I got all left-handed clubs and all that type of stuff, man. I'm still waiting for Ashley to invite me out to one of them golf tournaments for Jackson, man.
And let me tell you, remember, let me see my video of the last golf tournament. Ashley Roberts golf class. Let me see my video, dog. See my view.
You probably just riding around drinking. That's right.
Hey, real talk. I almost killed Ash. Look, I almost killed Ash at the last golf tournament too. He was doing an interview, sat down. I hit a ball, bro. It went right there by his head. Sit down.
What's your handicap?
It's no video too.
What's your handicap?
Oh, I'll never tell.
The boy in the 30s. That boy out here just mulligan. That's what it is. All right, guys. Listen, man, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Zoe, where can they catch you at as always?
Hey, man, y'all hit me up tonight, man. Zone Coverage Podcast. We hitting up tonight at 9 p.m. Central. Y'all tune in. It's Christmas Eve. We got Christmas tomorrow, man. National Signing Day. Let's get it.
Man, we got some big things coming down the pipeline, man. You make sure you guys are locked into our social medias for the drop and for the announcements. But listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. God bless.
Later.